This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 25. Hey, this is Comic Geek Speak, episode 25. We are proud members of the Comics Podcast Network. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Peter Rios.
We are sexy bitches, yeah!
All right, everyone. Welcome to our very exciting 25th episode. This is a milestone, Peter.
We have a big audience.
Oh, we have a crowded house here tonight. No pun intended for reference to 80s music. We have Jamie.
Hello.
We have Shane.
Hiya.
And we have a first-timer here, Scott Powers.
Hello.
And this is the guy, we mentioned Scott before because his last name is Powers, and it's very ironic since he reads comic books. And
I love irony. It's brilliant, really. Irony is my favorite thing.
So, Scott, before we get started here, because you're new, we have to initiate you, and the question that we ask...
Leave my pants up.
The question we have to ask is, how did you first get into comic books?
At the farmer's market. My parents would go shopping at the farmer's market. There was a guy with cheap returned magazines, strip cover returns. Send the cover back, keep the magazine, sell it to some unsuspecting juvenile trying to corrupt him for $0.25. I bought tons of them there because there was nothing else for me to do at the farmer's market. I could look at the lettuce.
Because you weren't that excited about zucchini.
No,
Okay.
surprisingly not.
And those Amish chicks just didn't do it for you.
Not then, but now. Now, yeah. So they were all there, and they were cheap, and I would
What was like
pick
the
up tons
first
of them.
hero you remember reading, or the first book, I should say?
Firestorm.
Firestorm.
Yes, Firestorm and Power Man and Iron Fist.
Excellent choices.
Yes, and then I got some very early X-Men. The 100 through like 112 with no cover. So
Oh, yeah.
they're
Worth
that's
it.
my collection.
Yes.
My brilliant collecting know-how is to get the coverless ones.
He still rips the covers off from what I see.
Mostly, yes.
All the Marvel books, apparently.
Yeah,
Now.
I get so excited.
It's a nostalgia back to my kid days.
What year was that you started all doing it? Like, or decade or whatever?
Yeah, the 30s. It would have been like
70s?
late 70s.
Late 70s, yeah.
Late 70s, early 80s. Then I finally found a drugstore walking home from school where they had real comics on a stand with
covers. That's this thing with a cover.
They had covers, and it was so exciting, but they were like 60 cents, 35, then 60 pretty quick. Yeah, it seemed like it went from 35 to 60 pretty quick.
Cool.
So you actually longed for the days of 25-cent comics?
Oh,
then?
heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, so welcome to the show. We're glad you're with us here on our momentous occasion.
This is exciting.
Yes, you can feel it in the room, can't you?
I can.
Yeah, that's
The
not.
M&Ms
That's the
are
dog, I
crackling.
think, scraping at your leg. Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into all the big stuff that we have planned for today, I'm going to go over some of our news items. I mentioned that we're a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network, which I think we mentioned in our last show. You can go to comicspodcast.com and you can read about all updates for all the different comic podcasts that are out there. We're all focusing our energies on one place. Again, we still have our blog, and you still need to go there for every detail about us. But for basic summary, you can get everything you need at comicspodcast.com. And we had a big day last week, Peter. We finally got our log files on the server back up and running. And last Thursday, we had 365 downloads in one day.
Nice.
Cool. That's a lot of
That's
listeners
awesome.
in one day. So we're really cranking. Consistently now, we're above 100, 150 every day. So that's awesome.
Great.
I'm so nervous now.
People! It's not just us. And, very exciting. Our Google ads, we are above $20 now.
Nice.
Woohoo! So keep clicking those ads, and when we get to $100, we get paid, and then we can buy some equipment, because I'm standing here sitting here staring at this mini mixer we have with more than, with splitters, with microphones and headphones running everywhere, and we need more equipment badly. So if you have, unless you have some old crap that you want to mail us for free, we'll take microphones, headphones, mixers, whatever. Otherwise, click on the ads, and then we'll buy our own stuff. And of course, the biggest news we have going on now is you still have until June 1st to enter our wonderful contest sponsored by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com, where you can win 5 amazing trade paperbacks and hardcovers worth over $100. Send in a promo, make a 30-second MP3 promo that highlights our show, use clips from the show, use sound effects, use your own voice, whatever the heck you want to do. All the rules are on our blog at comicgeekspeak.blogspot.com, and the list of prizes, it's phenomenal. You got to enter, because you're silly not to, because if you win these books, it's awesome.
Yeah, because you could wind up being the only person who provides us with something.
Unless everyone's waiting for the last minute. So far, we haven't gotten any entries, although I know that I've gotten an email from at least one person who's working on one, so I'm sure that we'll see one. I'm hoping that we'll get like 5 or 10 of them, because, this is $100 worth of stuff with no strings attached. If we pick you as the winner, we mail it to you, you get it. It doesn't cost you a dime, nothing. You have to do a little work to make the promo, but it really shouldn't be that hard.
Right.
And, even if you don't think you're going to be any good at it, try it anyway, because we're going to play all the entries we get. We're going to play them on the air regardless of whether we think they're good or they suck or whatever. So, at least the world will get to hear your promo. So for no other reason, send us one. And we haven't talked about it until this point, but I'm going to mention it. I've been trying to be all cool, like I don't care. But go to Podcast Alley and vote for us. I can't take it.
He's given in.
I've given in. We've been doing this for 25 episodes now. We haven't even so much as mentioned Podcast Alley. But, we have been trying so hard to get into the top 50. And halfway through May, we were at like 50, 60? Was 60?
No, I thought we got down to like 58 or
58 or
like
57?
That.
Yeah, we were so close. And then as the month goes on, of course, we creep up. But since we started, we have always been within the top 100. Like right now, we're sitting at like 92 or something. And
that's just because it's the end of the month.
It's the end of the month, and we won't cross above 100 before the end of the month, and then we'll start over. So just, throw us a vote. Well, we just for at least one day, we want to crack the top 50 to say we've been there, and then, we can get pushed back out again. That's okay.
Right, yeah, the best thing to do, like for the past 2 months, have sent out emails to all my friends, people who don't listen to the podcast.
Shh, don't tell them your secret.
Stuff those ballots.
Stuff in the ballots. You're right, I have. And then a couple of our listeners have voted for us, which is great. They announced it on the board, actually.
Yeah, they brought it up. They're like, hey, people, go vote.
Right. So if we, early in the month, if we get all our listeners to just go to Podcast Alley, all you got to do is do a search for us. It'll pop up, our name. Hit the details button. You'll see us. Hit the vote for us, or I think it's vote now or something like that. It's really simple.
Yeah, and June is only, by the time you listen to this, it'll only be a couple days away. So if you just want to wait until June 1st or 2nd, or even the first 2 weeks of June, do your vote then, push us into the 50 mark, we'll rejoice for a day, and then we'll creep back out of the 50 mark, and that's fine. But just humor us and give us a bunch of votes in the beginning. Wow, that's the news that I have. Let me go to the inbox here at Gmail. We got a lot of email.
Yeah, it's been some great stuff. You sent me the webmaster of www.batmobilehistory.com sent us. Do you have that down in there?
Yes, I do. I was just going to read
it.
It's opening up here. It's from Spencer. But Spencer is the email, but then it says thanks from Bill. So I don't know who Spencer is, but apparently Bill's using his email. It says, hello, as the webmaster over at BatmobileHistory.com, I wanted to write and thank you for the kind words about the site. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it. It's been a fun and ever-growing project. Thanks again. Keep up the great work on the show. Bill.
Shane, you're a Batman. Have you gone to that? Did you go to that site?
Actually, I haven't. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Oh, you fiend.
Yeah.
I was actually there the other day.
Isn't it great?
It's really good because I was curious because I'm reading this Batman Chronicles and the first couple issues is just this red car. There's nothing resembling a Batmobile.
Right.
And I looked and sure enough there it was listed on the site. Yep. 1939.
I'm definitely going to look that up.
It's cool. It's really it's got every Batmobile, I think. I mean there might be some missing, but there were more than I thought there were.
Yeah. I mean, between the movies and then the Elseworlds and even in just the regular comics.
Yeah.
Especially around the 90s where it seemed like every other
artist.
issue.
Oh, yeah.
They just drew their own thing.
Yeah.
There's a good picture just recently. I don't remember if it was during Hush or right around before or after, but they panned back from the Batcave, and you could see like 5 or 6 different kinds in this really cool car carrier slot type thing.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic.
All right, let's see.
Who else we got there?
We got... okay, here's one from David Akers, and not the kicker for the Eagles, which I read the email, and I was like, oh my God, David Akers! But the title of the email is Some Questions That Hopefully Won't Stump the Rios. It's not Stump the Rios questions, but here we have. He says, anyway, first of all, I wanted to say how much I love your podcast. It's the best comic book podcast out there, at least to me, given my comic reading habits. I'm not much interested in the indie comics with a few exceptions. I'm mostly interested in DC and to a lesser extent Marvel, and that's mostly what you guys cover. You guys seem like the comic book collecting friends I had in college. Woohoo! Now, I know you don't necessarily want to turn your show into an advertisement for DCBS. We don't mind. But I have a couple questions about them. Says, but I have a couple of questions about them. Living in a small town as I do, I don't have a local comic shop in which to buy my comics. The nearest shop is about 45 minutes away, and while I love that particular shop, it's just too long a drive. I've been getting my comics from a mail-order service. If you don't want to use their name, it's fine. But we do. It's Mile High Comics. I've been using them for a long time, mostly because I had used them when I was a kid, and I thought I would use their back issue discount more than I ended up using it. At any rate, lately their service has just gone downhill. Oh, I hope you're listening, Chuck Rosansky. That's his name, right?
I have no idea.
Yes.
Where I lost my place. Oh, the past couple shipments have been damaged prior to shipping. There was no damage to the boxes, but most of the books had creases in them. And the shipment I got the other day had the wrong book in it. Human Target, which I don't collect, had replaced Human Race, which I do. In those cases, I would have to ship the books back to them in order to get good replacement copies. While I understand that policy, I still think it's punishing me for something I didn't do. My average discount works out to about 15 to 20%, which is also quite a bit less than DCBS, and their shipping costs would be quite similar. So I'm considering switching to DCBS, but I was curious if you guys had any experiences with them in similar situations, RE, damaged books, missing books, accidental swaps of books, etc. Also, I don't remember if you've mentioned, but my current service allows me to sign up for a book on an ongoing basis. Is that how DCB service works too, or do I have to pick all the books I want in a given month? I love the discount. I would be saving between $30 and $50 a month just on the stuff I normally get, but I want to make sure that I'm not jumping from one mediocre service to another. I don't think I would be, given how much you guys rave about them, and from the quality of their website, which is much better than my current service provider. Anyway, again, I love the show. Thanks for putting out such a quality show and for keeping the discussions varied. What with your shows on Sin City, movie, and Saturday morning cartoons. And thanks for your time in reading this email. A fellow geek, David. Well, David.
Nice to have you, David.
Yep.
That was a well-written, lengthy email. Those are the kind we really like to get.
Yeah.
So, I will say that I've been using DCB service for like 8 or 9 months now, and I haven't had any problems. I have not had any missed books or damaged books or anything. I have forgotten to order books and then emailed them a month later, and they throw them right in my next shipment for me.
Yep.
And I think, Jamie, you actually got 2 copies of a trade, correct?
Yeah, it was. I had ordered this 1 month. They threw it in. I wasn't expecting to get it that month. It was like one of those things. I wasn't expecting to get it that shipment. I was expecting the next shipment. And lo and behold, I get the next shipment, and there's the same book. So I immediately got on board, and I just said, hey, you know, I emailed them and said, hey, you sent me this already. I got another book. I just want to know what you want me to do with it. They sent it back. They said, hey, our mistake, keep it. So I got an extra copy of a trade. I wound up giving it to Brian. He hadn't read it. It was a Superman trade, and so yeah, they're really good about it. Something like that. They didn't even make me send it back, and I was expecting them to say, yeah, could you send it back to us, or we'll send you something and send it back to us. And said, nope, it was our mistake. It's your book.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the problem, but I can't imagine if I got a book that was damaged and I emailed them, there's no way they're going to make me send it back and pay for the shipping.
No, not at all. I think it just works that it's just an extra replacement the next time around.
Yeah, it's they're and anytime you email them, they email you immediately. I mean, it's basically a husband and wife, and I think maybe one or two employees, and I think one of the employees might be a family member or something. It's really a personal outfit, and they're not out to screw the customer at all.
No, I think I got an order once, and they send you an inventory list of not only what they shipped, but what is still on your list, for the
Correct.
next couple months or so. And one of the issues was on the paper, but not in my box. And I just emailed them, and they said, "Great, we'll have it out next shipment." I had to wait an extra month, but that's okay. I didn't want them to go out of their way, excuse me, to send it new, by itself.
Right, waste $4 to ship
exactly.
a $2 book. Yeah.
I was fine with that. I was totally fine with that. And the other thing about back issues, when Brian said he ordered some books, that were maybe months old, they still give you the discount for them, which I thought was really good.
Right.
Really just a neat thing.
And your question about whether or not you can say I want Batman and they send you Batman each month. Unfortunately, no. You have to go in, you have to order each month, but it really doesn't take that long to do it, whichever way you do it, whether it's downloading it onto an Excel spreadsheet and doing it that way, or just going in doing it by the shopping cart. For me, it takes me, and it's only because I have to go in and get independents, and it's just the way they have it set up. The independents are sometimes hit and miss, where if you can find the right page that it's on, usually only takes me about 45 minutes to place an order, and I have these guys have seen my order. I usually have a pretty big order, and so about
So like
45
a
minutes.
refrigerator box shows up
Yeah.
with Jamie's comics in it.
That's right. It's like, hey, is that a midget's coffin? No, that's my comics.
It's little person.
No, I'm politically incorrect. It's
Okay.
midget.
I like actually having to go every month and looking what I want, because what it does is I don't just blindly get a title. If I'm sick of it and I know a new story arc is coming in or something like that, I can go, you know what, I'm not getting it this month.
Yeah, I actually feel the same way. At first, I was asking the same question that David asked, and I was thinking, oh, that's got to be a pain every month. I got to fill it out. It only took me about 2 months till I realized that's awesome, because I consciously have to decide each month if I want to continue buying this book. Like when I used to subscribe at the store, and then it was sitting in your pile, and it's like, now I got to buy it. I really should have canceled last month, and I forgot, and now they already put it in my slot, so really I shouldn't be a prick and put it back on the shelf. I should buy it because it's kind of my duty. And then you had to like go up shyly to the desk and I want to cancel a title and fill out the little form, and you felt like you were like costing them money by doing it, and I don't have any of that problem now. I just check off what I want and check off and don't check what I don't want, and it forces me to be a little more conservative with my comic buying, so that I get only what I really want to get.
Yeah, I think if you're a little leery at first, I certainly was as well. Now that, of course, there's like 8 or 9 of us in Reading that order from them. Just order a few things, just order a few, like a trade and some books, and see if you're pleased with the shipment. And if you are, then for the next month, go even bigger. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
All right. Well, moving on. It was pretty cool. If you remember the episode where we interviewed Shane Felix, director of Star Wars Revelations, in the newest Entertainment Weekly, they have a big article about Star Wars Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. Return of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith. Now, forever now, my head is, every time I have to think about what I want to say.
And Revenge of the Jedi, which that
Right. Well, that screws me up because it used to be the title. Oh, okay, whatever. But anyway, they have a little section in there covering Star Wars Revelations, which is, of course, really cool because we talked to Shane. So I sent Shane an email, and I said, hey, Shane, saw the article in Entertainment Weekly about your film. They were a little harsh on the acting, but talk about some major publicity. I said, congrats and good luck. And he emailed us back, and he said, concerning the acting comments, he said, I'm used to it. But the funny thing is, after the Thesaurus written review, they still gave us a B-, the same grade as they gave Revenge of the Sith. And then he said about the publicity, he says, yeah, not bad for a bunch of nobodies, huh? Thanks for your continued support and your kindness, Shane. So that's really cool for him to be in Entertainment Weekly. You can't get any bigger than that.
He was also in USA Today. There was a huge article, wasn't it?
Yeah, USA Today.
That's
great.
cool.
Very cool.
Yep.
So we wish you continued success, Shane.
On a side note, what did Star Wars do this weekend? What was the final? Anybody know the final?
It was
It's like 150.
it was over 150.
Yeah. 53 or 58, I can't remember which one.
That was from Wednesday to Sunday?
Correct.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, and it broke the opening day. Well, it broke the it was 20.
It broke the opening
midnight show, which is 16 million or something.
It broke the weekend, but not the opening day. Spider-Man
Right.
still holds that.
Correct. Yeah, but it was only missed it by a couple million.
Good to see George Lucas get a little success.
Yeah. Well, it's been so long
Probably
for
needs
the
the
guy.
money.
Yeah.
You don't think THX hurt him?
And okay, we got another one from a guy named Matt Nastos. It's entitled Comic-Related Press Release. He says, "Hey guys, this is a press release. I hate press releases. I hate writing them. I hate reading them. I hate them so much I can taste it in my balls. But I'm sending it to you more because I'm a
I'm gonna use that line. I'm gonna steal that line from you.
That's a good line.
First of all, if you know what that's like, why are you even leaving the house?
Yeah. He doesn't need to go to
I'd
scores,
be a happy
Peter.
man, yeah.
Yeah. But he says, I'm sending it to you more because I'm a fan of Comic Geek Speak and I thought you might be mildly interested in it. The flick isn't more than a fun little thing put together by a bunch of comic and film pros screwing around on a break. It'll be showing around the country and upcoming cons. If it intrigues you at all, I'll get you a copy of the DVD. Hell yeah, we want a copy on DVD. And okay, on with the press release. So it says, Nifty Comics set to release Bite Me Fanboy on DVD. This summer, small press publisher Nifty Comics unveils its first feature-length film release on DVD. The film, Bite Me Fanboy, was co-written by Matt Nastos of ElfQuest and Sean Burry of Superman Adventures. Directed by Nastos, a 15-year veteran of film and television, and featuring music by fan-favorite band Ookla the Mock. That's a hell of a...
Ookla the Mook.
Ookla, it's
Thundar the
Right,
Barbarian
Thundar.
Bee.
Oh, because it says M-O-K, which looks like...
I always thought it was Ukla the Mock.
Oh, is it Mock? I thought it was Ookla the Mook.
Ukla the Mock.
It is? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, pay attention,
To
man.
break out my Thundar.
A Moop, that's on Seinfeld there.
And the dogs are going crazy. What's going on? Okay.
It's the 25th podcast.
Yeah, they're all excited. Bite Me Fanboy tells the story of Nick Norton, the ultimate comic book fan. When Nick gets dumped by his girlfriend, he just can't understand why. It's not like it's the first time Rachel has caught him wearing panties and parading around like Green Lantern. Broken-hearted, Nick heads to his favorite comic store in search of the sympathy of his friends. What he gets is something completely different. So, and then it goes on and blah, 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 blah. The film was shot on mini DV and will be released independently through Nifty Comics, niftycomics.com. Fanboy is the first in what I hope will be a series of low-budget, high-fun films made for comic fans by comic fans. We plan to release at least one such film per year, all aimed squarely at the comic book market. I'd like to know where he's at, because if he's anywhere within driving distance of where we are, I want to be in the next movie.
Sounds like Crusaders, right?
Oh, absolutely it does. I mean, we shot it on mini DV, but of course this guy says he has 15-year experience in the film and television, which,
Right.
we had 0 years experience in film and television. But, we definitely, Matt, we definitely want to
Send
view
that
a
baby.
copy of this,
Yeah.
and we want to know more information. It doesn't say where they're located, so they're probably out in L.A., but, man, if they ever come to New York area or Philly or whatever, I want to be in that.
Road trip.
Yeah, exactly. We're coming to San Diego. You need us to film anything while we're out there? That'd be cool. Anyway, so that sounds cool. NiftyComics.com, Bite Me Fanboy, name of the movie. Should be fun to check out. And we got a Geek of the Day from Bruce, the guy who drew Mr. Marvelous, and he sent us a bunch of emails before. Bruce is really into our show.
Right.
And he typed on the blog, he actually made a comment about our Star Wars episode, and he had a Star Wars story to share with us. So it's just over 2 minutes here, and let's listen to what Bruce has to say.
Hi guys, Bruce Rosenberger here. And don't feel bad, Peter. Sometimes even I have trouble saying my last name. You guys were talking about geeky fans during the special Star Wars podcast, and it brought this story to mind. I attended the World Science Fiction Convention in Kansas City, Missouri in 1976. The costume contest was going on, but I hadn't bothered to stand in line for a ticket that afternoon. So instead, I went to the Star Wars display room, and it's more or less empty. I don't know anything about this movie except that I've heard of it. Apparently there was a screening of the trailer that afternoon, but I'd missed it. Charles Lippincott, who I later found out was the publicity manager for the film, sells me a really cool Howard Chaykin pre-production poster of the movie for $1.50 and says, "Hey, that's Mark Hamill in the back of the room. You know, he's in the movie. Why not get it signed?" So I go back and I start talking to Mark, who's a really nice guy, and I realize that I know him from the soap opera that my mom watches when I'm home from work for lunch. He tells me a bunch of funny stories, like, you know, how his father wants him to get a real job, and we talk for about 15 minutes. Now, at this point, I should mention that I'm dressed in what my friends were calling my Farmer of the Future outfit, bib overalls and a Donovan shirt. I've got hair that falls most of the way down my back. I must have been a real treat to look at, but I'm about to meet even geekier geeks. In walks these two guys who'd seen the Star Wars promo that afternoon. They walk up and start asking Mark all kinds of questions about what type of drives the spaceships have and just, you know, goofy stuff like that. Mark tries to explain that he's just an actor and doesn't really know, but they persist with really dorky questions. Finally, Mark looks at his watch and says, "Whoa, time for me to get going," and just kind of, you know, nods at me, winks, whatever, you know, kind of in on the joke type thing. I laughed, and, you know, I said good night. Later on, I saw him at the costume contest, which they let me into, even though I had no ticket. He was standing by the wall sipping a drink, and as you know, I kind of caught his eye, and he just laughed and shook his head. Two interesting side stories I should mention. One, I came in at the end of the costume contest and didn't see much of it, but to occupy our time while the judges deliberated, they brought out a beautiful redhead who was a science fiction fan and working her way through law school as a stripper. Needless to say, she stripped. I think it's probably the best stripper I've ever seen in my life. And not that I've seen that many, but most of the subsequent strippers I've seen just kind of writhe around. You know, they don't dance. This girl danced. Two, that poster that I bought turned out to be a very rare poster. I've heard 175 to 225 were produced, and last time I saw one for sale, maybe like 10 years ago, it was going for $350. Not a bad investment.
Hello.
Yeah, we were going on to the next bit. We can't have that.
That's cool. That's a great little.
Yeah, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill and a stripper all on the same day.
Sucker.
And the poster, the $1.50. That poster now is like a couple $100 or whatever.
I've
for
heard
that.
stories about that poster.
Yeah, it's a good deal, Bruce. I hope you still have that.
He said it was Howard Chaykin?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's very, very cool.
Mark Hamill looked like Reuben Flagg.
Well, Chaykin did do the adaptation, the original sixth issue.
For the Marvel books, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Anybody ever read those?
Yes.
Are they faithful?
Yeah, they're pretty close. They're pretty good. I enjoyed them.
All right. A while back now, we sent our bit to the Los Comic Geekos for our second crossover about what are their favorite...
What's their favorite? What they consider the best
superhero,
best
movie,
superhero movie
or comic movie, comic movie. So they have given us their answers. So we're going to go right into another. We're going to listen to their answers, and then we're going to discuss and give our answers.
Sounds good.
So here we go, Los Comic Geekos.
Esto es Comic Geekos. Hello, Brian and Pete. This is Los Comic Geekos. And I'm Omar. And in the studio we have as well Francisco.
Ticoman, hi.
Britoman.
And Julius.
And we have Roberto via Skype, but he doesn't want to talk because he says his English is too poor.
That's him.
And that's him, that little beep you heard.
That's R2D2 alias.
Yeah.
Just like his Spanish.
Yeah. Just like his in any event, we got your your crossover question, and our answers are as follows: the best comic book movies that I have seen. I'm gonna go I'm gonna give you the 3 best ones, starting from the one that I liked, number 3, then number 2, and number 1. And the number 3 for me was Men in Black, and I liked it because it was just a lot of fun. I never really did see the comic. I just know that it's based on a comic book, but I liked it a lot, so that's my number 3. Number 2 is X-Men, and I really, really liked it because that was one of my the comic books that I had most contact with when I was growing up, basically because Ticoman always lent me his comic books, and so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, just give him back then. Still has them.
Yeah, right. Anyways, and the number 1 comic book movie for me was Superman 2. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I liked it even more than Superman 1. Because in Superman 1 they made too much fun out of Lex Luthor. And I think that the villains in Superman 2... In Superman 2 they were just a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. And more powerful. And I love the way that they used to throw buses at each other. And in any event... I also have a couple of honorable mentions, and for me, an honorable mention would be Batman 1, even though I did not like any of the Batman movies, because I really did not think that any of the actors that played Batman did a good enough job. Batman 1 has to be mentioned because the Joker was just fantastic in that movie. The Joker was great. Another one...
the Joker guest featuring Batman.
Yeah, it should have been, right, the Joker movie with some guy who thinks he's Batman. And then The Incredibles. And I really love The Incredibles, and even though it's not like a real comic book thing, you have to love the movie, and it's right up there in the same genre. And another one I liked, but another honorable mention, but I'll let Francisco do that one because he shares that one with me.
Oh yeah, that would be
Wake up.
Unbreakable.
Yeah.
That's not really a comic book. It's not based on a comic book, so that's why I only got an honorable mention. But definitely one of our favorites here, and it's probably the best origin movie for a superhero that doesn't look like an origin movie for a superhero ever made. Remember going to see that movie and not knowing what the hell is going to be about. I just knew that it was Bruce Willis and M. Night Shyamalan, or whatever, however you say it.
Shyamalan.
So we really didn't know what to expect, but damn, we were just blown away by it. Really, really good movie.
Yeah. So, those are my 3. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, that was one of my honorable mentions. Just gonna go from bottom to top. The number 3 best movie for me was Superman 1. This is pretty much for nostalgic reasons. I just have to mention the feeling I have still when I watch it, but nothing compared to what I had when I watched it as a kid. But it's really withstood the test of time, and it's probably one of the best comic book to movie translations ever made. I mean, Christopher Reeve was just perfect as Superman. And I mean, you wanted to jump off the roof of your house after seeing that. It was so good. Not suicidal type, but actually trying to fly, you know. Yeah. Number 2 would be for me Spider-Man 1, basically because after a long drought of really sucky movies based on comic books, we're just starting to get to see Blade and X-Men, but then comes Spider-Man, which is such a faithful translation. The characters are the comic book characters. The biggest change was the villain, but hey, you could swallow it. And I liked it even better than Spider-Man 2 because, as I was telling the rest of the geekos, Spider-Man 2 has a lot of parts that in the DVD I would just fast forward through. When Peter Parker is losing his powers, he's losing the girl, losing his job, he's got money problems, which is great for character development, but basically you end up with a long segment which is just a movie about a guy trying to get his girl back. which is not really what you paid for when you go to see Spider-Man. So I thought Spider-Man 1 had a better mix of action and character development. It just kept the story moving along so much better.
Even though the villain was cooler in Superman.
Much cooler. The fight scenes
Spider-Man
were much cooler. Dr. Octopus was much... I liked it better as a villain in general, also in the comic books, than Green Goblin. But as a movie, I loved Spider-Man 1 the most. X-Men 2 would be my number one film. I liked it because it was just so action-filled, so much plot and counter-plot going on between the villains, the heroes. Everybody gets equal time. It's not like X-Men 1 where it's just Wolverine guest starring the X-Men. And it's just very exciting. No boring parts. I just love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Also, for my honorable mentions, I just have to go through these. My honorable mentions are movies that I haven't really seen the comic book, so I can't know how faithful they were. But the first one would be The Mask. I love that movie. It's really fun. I have to see it every time they show it on TV. I think Jim Carrey shows his overacting, wacky guy, but it's got a reason because he's the Mask, you know. And as a side note, Cameron Diaz, for me, has never looked better in a film. You know, right now she's just lost like 20 pounds. I don't know from where, but in that movie she really looked hot, you know. Another one, Men in Black, was one of my honorable mentions, basically because I haven't seen the comic book. And another one, which I have to mention, is Blank Man. I think Victor Man will share that with me. It's not based on a comic book character, but it's about a superhero of sorts. If you haven't seen it, it's with Damon Wayans. It's so good, so funny. I mean, really enjoyed it. I really didn't know what to expect, but it's just hilarious. So if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it.
Yeah. Just to see the
other guy. The sidekick other guy with a Michigan t-shirt.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, my list, for me, the number 3 will be Batman 1, because I really enjoyed that movie, because I was really expecting that movie. There was a time where there wasn't any other movies about superheroes. I really enjoyed that movie. Then for my number 2 is X-Men.
X-Men 2.
X-Men 2.
Okay.
X-Men 2. And maybe because of the same reason as my number 1, which is Spider-Man 2. That's because I think that in the plot of both those movies, they don't lose much time telling you about the origins of the supervillains,
or the superhero,
or the superheroes. Because in the other movies, I say you already know the origin of those superheroes.
Why spend time?
Waste time.
Jump right to the action.
Jump right to the action. Just like Star Wars. You don't have the origins of Darth Maul. You don't have the origin of Darth Vader until the next movies. You don't have the origin of and you really enjoy the movie. You really enjoy the action. You don't really need to know what the origins are. You already know that.
This is the bad guy. Let's kick the crap out.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's my turn then. This is Julius. Honorable mentions, by the way.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
No, I
They're covered.
Okay.
they're covered.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt them.
Okay.
Well, that's it for this podcast.
Hey. Number 3 for Julius. That will be X-Men. It's hard to tell 1 or 2. I will say 1, just because I think that the director and the writers did a great job treating the superhero theme at the same level as the
Grounding the characters.
Grounding the characters to the problem of discrimination, putting at the same level as the problem the Jews had during the Second World War.
The Holocaust.
So that appealed to a broader audience than only the comic fans, and that was a very good thing for me. Besides, I love both movies. Number 2 in my list, that will be Batman. the ones that Tim Burton worked on, 1 and 2, especially the first one. As Brito said, we have spent a long time with a really good superhero movie, and this one had the added benefit of Tim Burton showing how Batman should be really played out in the media. All my friends, for example, just remembered the old TV series, the one that didn't read comics at the
60s,
time.
60s Batman.
The 60s man, and that was awful. And they were surprised that Batman could be so dark and greedy.
They had the idea of that Batman.
Yes, they had the really wrong idea.
Climbing up a side of a building.
Yeah, with the anti-shark repellent, anti-shark repellent.
And finally, Spider-Man, of course. 1 or 2 is hard to tell. I agree with Tico that the fights, the villain in the second one is much better. Personally, I preferred as a villain Dr. Octopus against the Green Goblin. However, the first one has a very good retelling of the origin, plus the ending. I really like it because for the first time the hero does not keep the lady, and even more than that, he tells the lady, you know what, no thank you. For me that was a big surprise.
Break stereotypes.
Just break every stereotype.
You have a problem.
Yeah, and the girl doesn't know the hero's secret identity by the end of the movie.
And that's right also. And finally,
but in the number 2, everyone
guys on the train know his identity. What the hell is that?
Honorable mention, I have to repeat my friends here, Unbreakable, a great movie. And I also add one of my own, Spider-Man, the movie that played around the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s. You may remember this was really the pilot for the TV series, the live TV series. And really, I was a kid then. I was thrilled watching that movie. I have very fond memories of it. So even though the special effects were very crappy, and the story itself wasn't that good, but you know, as a kid back at that time, it was really a dream come true. Okay, guys?
Cool. Oh wait, Roberto's.
Don't forget Roberto.
Brito Man, can you read Roberto's picks?
Go on.
Because his Skype window closed, but they were all 2s. I remember it was Superman 2, X-Men 2,
and Spider-Man 2.
And Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, he had a
honorable mention
of
Ghost World.
no,
Richie.
He-Man.
I have another honorable mention for Daredevil Director's Cut.
Daredevil Director's Cut.
And Conderman.
Yeah,
I really don't know what's the difference between the normal one and the Director's Cut. But
he's mute in the Director's Cut.
Yeah.
He can see it.
There is more time on screen for Electra.
He just has a speech impediment. In the Director's Cut, he has a speech impediment. A lisp. Yeah. Okay, well, guys, that's our answers. We hope to get your answers on an MP3 so that we can play it on our show.
On Spanish, please.
Oh, yeah, in Spanish. Here we are, giving it our best shot to talk in English. So you guys got to give us a little more Spanish than what you did on the originals.
Kind of depressing.
All right, guys, keep them coming, and we'll keep them sending out.
See you in the next crossover.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was hilarious. Hey, you guys want some more Spanish? How about this? Tu madre lleva botas de guerra.
What the heck was that?
Your mother wears combat boots.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I could say like agua. I was watching Sesame Street with my boy, and they go over words, but I can't speak it.
Well, my Spanish is so rusty. I lived in Mexico 11 years ago now, so it's very rusty. I could do all right, but I'm not going to do it on the podcast. It's just embarrassing.
Do we want to send them a separate MP3 like they asked, or how do you want to do this?
Well, I don't know. We'll talk about it for our benefit of our audience, and maybe they can just cut the clip out of the show and play it for their audience, or because they're probably going to translate for their audience anyway.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know how that's going to work, but so Who wants to start?
Sprechen Sie Deutsch? That's my best Spanish. I'm sorry. That's all I got.
I can start.
We'll have to bring somebody in to do. I have to call my cousins, bring him in.
Yeah, get your grandmother over here.
Yeah.
Abuela, read this.
You know what, though? Spider-Man is Spider-Man in any language.
Yeah. Spider-Man. All right. See, this is tricky because there are a lot of good movies, and I think if you want to know what my favorite straight-up movie that is faithful to the comic and reminds me of the comic and doesn't change a damn thing from the comic and feels like the comic, then I got to go Sin City as the best of the best of the best. If you ask me if it's my all-time favorite comic book movie, no. Is it? I mean, I loved it, and I certainly can't wait till it comes out on DVD to watch it again, but I think that's got to be the best translation that exists in a comic to movie.
But what I liked about their list is it's also about feelings. Like,
right.
I think, yeah, you're right, but that's so technical. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I threw it out there as in that category.
Definitely.
As far as my movies that I like for the way that I feel, I put Spidey 2 and X2 right at the top of the list. Again, you skip the origin crap, you get right to the story, you got lots of heroes. I mean, Doc Ock is a much better villain, I think, than Green Goblin. I've always felt that reading the comics, so I'd love to see it on the screen. Much more action. Same with X-Men. All the action, you get to see Colossus, you get to see Kitty Pryde. That's just cool. Now, if you want to go from just gut reaction and memory as Superman 1, because when you see Superman 1, you just, oh my god, it's Superman, and that's cool. But I did like their mentioning Unbreakable, which is technically not a comic book, but a fantastic comic movie. And then one that they didn't mention, I throw it out there for an honorable mention, is The Phantom. If you haven't seen it, guys, nobody mentioned it. It's good. I had zero hope for that movie. When I saw the box cover, I thought, this has got to be a big pile of shit. And then I watched it, and I went, oh my god, it's vastly entertaining, and it's a great movie. So, that's what I have on my list.
Yeah, I guess between Batman and the Marvel movies, you had Phantom and, what's the other one? Shadow.
Shadow was also a good movie. And then you got Rocketeer, which was a good movie, and...
Go ahead, give us your list.
Keep making me rethink my list. All right, top movies. My third is X2.
This is Shane.
Top number 3 is X2.
It's not Britoman?
No.
I like how he says that.
I like
That's
how he
just
says
fun.
that, though. Mostly because of all the comic-related storylines that they actually pulled together in there. I loved everything through the whole movie, all the action. Like they had said, you don't worry about the origins anymore. You just jump right into the action, and it's action-packed all to the end. Everybody seemed to have equal amounts of time in the movie. It wasn't any one person heavy, and I loved Nightcrawler in it. That was just
Nightcrawler.
Great. My number 2 is Batman 1. Although Batman Begins may beat it out, because I really kind of have high hopes for the way they do this origin, even over Tim Burton's.
Now, hold back. You didn't see it yet.
Yeah.
Well, I know. That's why Batman.
Hey, can I just interject on Batman here? Because I just had this great revelation today. When I saw the Batman movie, the one thing that I always thought was, I don't know, I thought it was lame, was how when the Joker killed everybody, they had these big smiles on their face. Well, then today, I just read the first story in Batman #1, which is the first appearance of the Joker, and everyone dies with smiles on their face. And if I had known that when I saw that movie, instead of thinking it was lame, I would have thought it was the coolest thing I saw because it's exactly like the comic book. And now I'm pissed at myself for when that movie came out in '89. So for 16 years, I've been thinking that was kind of cheesy, and now I think it's the coolest thing I ever saw. So I just had to throw that out.
They had done that in the comics. I mean, even recent comics.
Yeah, I just didn't. I guess maybe I just never read those issues, or what. I just never realized that was an actual comic book thing, and I thought it was some cheeseball Hollywood thing. And
no.
You need to turn in your Comic Geek ring.
I don't have a ring.
I'm working on it.
But I mean, you can't have read every comic ever, and now I'm doing my duty and reading the first Batmans, and that's cool.
Number 1, Superman 1. I really loved that. I believed a man could fly by watching that. And my memory did not hold up as well with that until the DVD came out.
Yeah.
And there's that one scene after he gets the helicopter back on top of the building and he arcs up and backward, which I can't even imagine the logistics of actually filming that just blew my mind. And I thought, yeah, that's it. That's the shit. That's my favorite. Honorable mentions, after Peter kept mentioning all these side movies, I actually have Mystery Men,
Oh,
just
yeah.
just a great, just a great movie. A lot of fun. Definitely something for a bunch of fanboys to go watch and just have a great time. Unbreakable, I thought that was great. The Comic Geekos, Los Comic Geekos made me think of that. I totally forgot about that. That is such a great origin movie, and I'm dying for them to come out with a second one, which was always rumored to happen,
He
but
still
has yet
talks
to.
about it.
Then I'm going with Spider-Man 1 just because I had no room in top 3. If we did top 5, I would have put it up there. And then Phantom and Shadow. I've been a big proponent, is that the right word, of those movies ever since I saw them. And people down them, and I almost want to smack them upside the head, especially Phantom. It's just so entertaining, so adventuresome. Both of them. It just blows my mind. I love them both. So that's my picks.
Who wants to go?
Okay, I'll go next.
This is Jamie.
This is Jamie, and just totally off the top of my head, because I wasn't prepared for this at all. Superman 2 would be number 3, because it was interesting as a movie goes. The first movie was boring. God, boring. Superman, where was the villain? Where was the villain? There was no villain.
Get out.
There was no villain.
Get out, Jamie.
Gene Hackman's good in everything, but he wasn't great in this.
Oh, I totally agree that Superman 2 is a better movie than Superman 1. But there are a couple pivotal scenes in Superman 1 that just give me this chill up my spine.
First thing
fell
about
asleep.
Superman 2 how do you get through the Niagara Falls stuff? I watch
that
it now,
stuff
and
is there.
I
It's
think
just goofy. I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but it's better than the first one.
I can't get past that Niagara Falls.
So-
I haven't seen
and
it.
it's
in a
my
long
list,
time.
and I'm sticking
all right,
to
fine,
it.
Go.
The second,
Let me just turn down his microphone. There you go. Okay.
this is my show now. The second one, I would probably have to say, I would guess, God, there's so many other ones I'd rather put up here, but I'll go with Spider-Man 2 and X-Men 2 as the number 1, and just because of exactly what everybody said, about they didn't have to waste time going over exposition of who Peter Parker was, blah, blah, blah. You could get right into it. The Doc Ock, our origin was good, and again, with the X-Men, the second one, you kind of, didn't need much exposition with Stryker because you kind of knew who he was. You could kind of see what kind of person he was. And as far as honorable mentions, we've just been rattling them off. I mean, such underrated movies such as The Rocketeer, Phantom, which I loved, and again, like Shane said, anytime we have this discussion, I always have to, bring it up. If we have this discussion with people, who we don't normally talk about this with, I bring that movie up.
Circle.
Yeah, which is very rare, but it happens sometimes. And
I'm frightened of them.
another movie nobody's mentioned is Hellboy, which
yeah.
I really enjoyed. I mean, we haven't got this guy yet, so he maybe put this on his list. But and again, another movie that was very faithful to the comic book, a comic book which I really loved. As far as a couple that they made mention of, Men in Black was enjoyable. I did enjoy Men in Black, and I've read some of the comics, which it stayed pretty consistent. The Mask, again, I thought was a very funny movie, and it did stay somewhat consistent, although The Mask was a little more homicidal than the movie made him out to be. He wasn't quite the Warner Brothers, the Bugs Bunny Warner Brothers cartoonish. He was more, I'm going to shoot you and kill you, and then you're dead type thing. But it was still a good adaptation, of which I did enjoy. Unbreakable, not my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie, but good nonetheless. And when they did the whole surprise ending, it kind of like slapped my head, and I was like, oh God, why didn't I see this stuff coming? And great performances by Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. So that's basically my list.
Oh, down to me. Hi, I'm Scott.
There are thousands of people listening to you right now, Scott.
Oh my God.
No pressure.
Well, I have a bunch of honorable mentions. More, number 3 would be X2. I really liked that movie. I thought it really moved the characters from introduction to being the characters. You didn't have to introduce them; they could be the characters.
Right, absolutely.
And honestly, I hate Wolverine. But that's just because he's overused. In that movie, he was perfect. He was important, and they let him loose, and he was behaving exactly like Wolverine should behave. It was brilliant.
The Berserker rage scene
and
is great.
Nightcrawler's always been my favorite X-Man, and he was just great. Number 2, Mystery Men. I love that movie. It's incredibly stupid, but I love it. Every stupid thing about it, I love.
Well, it's very funny.
It is. It's great, and it's even not as funny as the Bob Burton Mystery Men comics, which are even crazier. But it's very faithful to the sort of wackiness that goes on in them, which was terrific.
Oh, and if I can interject right there while we're talking about Mystery Men, I don't know if it's still available, but if you're in the United States and you go to Best Buy, it was $5.99 for the longest time.
Yep, pick that up.
So check it out in the discount shelves. You won't be disappointed.
And I spent the full amount on mine.
Yeah, me too.
Number 1, I put The Incredibles. It is a comic book movie. It should be a comic book. It just had the perfect feeling. Honestly, it had the perfect feeling that if Marvel misses this feeling in the Fantastic Four movie, they've really missed out. Just
right.
the family feel and the adventure and everything. It was all there. That movie was terrific. It had everything. The jazzy spy soundtrack, the fabulous powers, everything. It was all there. I love that movie.
Scott Spawn's not your number 1 movie?
No, unfortunately. Well, okay, 1A.
Okay.
1A is Spawn. Now, I got a couple honorable mentions. Unbreakable, that's been mentioned a lot. Hellboy, that was a great movie. Popeye, nobody mentioned Popeye. Robin Williams and Ray Walton, they were tremendous. Robin Williams was, you just have to turn up the sound and listen to the bizarre things he's saying under his breath. And it's his best performance ever. It is. All the other ones stank. The Rocketeer, The Shadow. I've always loved The Shadow, and just the beginning of that movie, it kind of deteriorates at the end and loses a little, what the heck's going on here. But just the beginning of that movie, the scene on the bridge, and that's all you need. That's The Shadow. It's tremendous. That's it for me.
Cool. Peter?
All right, here we go. My top 3. My number 3, Batman. Batman 1. Just something about that movie kind of works for me. I think Tim Burton did a great job of creating a world unto itself. Not just Gotham, but the movie itself has a filter over it that, unlike this Batman Begins movie that's going to come out, I don't think I could be part of Tim Burton's Batman. You know what I mean? It's it really just isolates itself well.
Yeah, well, he's really good at doing that in a lot of his movies. Edward Scissorhands, the same thing. You definitely feel like it's another place or another time or something.
And for where Batman was at that time, I felt he really captured that. Number 2, Spider-Man 1. Just a whole lot of fun. And really what made that movie for me, 2 words, Tobey Maguire. I believed him. I believed in him. I believed his character work. Just everything. That was such perfect casting, I thought. And it was such a bright movie. All that red and blue in his costume and just the movie itself. I really, really thought that was just a well-told story, very faithful. If I had to say anything about the movie, it's not about Green Goblin. It's about Kirsten Dunst, and everybody in this room knows that. She went from, pretty decent, okay in the first one to just, I'm sorry, she was just like white trash in the second one. I mean, she just looked so frumpy. So Spider-Man 1's my number 2, is my number 2 movie. And the first one, Superman number 1. What I know the Los Comic Geekos, and I guess Shane said, everything about the movie still holds up for me. The special effects still hold up. One of my favorite scenes, you were talking about the flying, Shane, is there's 2 of them. When he rescues Lois Lane and the helicopter, and he says, oh, it still really is, the safest way to fly. And he turns, and you just get that little smile on his face, he's so happy with himself. He knows he just wowed her. I thought that was great. And the last scene when he's flying and he winks at the camera, because every comic book and every Max Fleischer cartoon ends with a wink at the audience. At least in the Silver Age. So it was great to kind of be. It's almost like you're in on the joke. You're in on his life, and those two moments are just awesome.
I gotta interject on that. My mom, whenever I would watch Superman, my mom would drop whatever she was doing from wherever in the house. If she heard the music, and would come dashing, and running down to watch Superman wink at the camera. She just absolutely melted every time he did that.
Yeah, and the reason why Spider-Man would never, for me, would never beat Superman is because I feel Spider-Man owes a lot to Superman. I think they're both laid out similar. Sam Raimi had to have his inspiration from Superman because they're both very similar, I think, the way they unfold. My honorable mentions, I have Unbreakable. I think and it was only because Los Comic Geekos mentioned it. I went, oh yeah, I forgot all about that movie. This one's not a superhero movie, but American Splendor. And I know it kind of sounds like maybe I'm getting a little pretentious, but that movie, for when I saw it at the time of my life, that movie really hit me. And I was like, wow. And I'm really interested in reading some of his work now. I mean, it's been a while, but just something about that movie was just neat the way they filmed it. And there was...
That's Harvey Picar.
Right.
His life.
Right. And it just was so great the way... They mixed comics and they mixed the actors and the real people. It just was a very fascinating film. And what's the actor's name? Paul
Giamatti.
Thank you. I couldn't remember his last name. Great
Pig
actor.
Vomit from
Yes,
Howard.
the first time I saw him was in Private Parts, and I thought he was great. My last honorable mention, and the reason I have it last because I'm probably going to get booed out of the room for this, but I'm sorry, I'm going to throw it out there. I think it's the best Marvel movie aside from Spider-Man.
Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
No. No, the Fantastic Four direct-to-video. Oh. No, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. The Hulk. I'm sorry. I love it. Every time I watch it, I go, this is a well-crafted movie. People complain you don't see the Hulk for an hour. Well, I'm sorry, but you don't see Superman for an hour. You don't see a lot of these characters for an hour in these movies. It was funny, actually, when I listened to Howard Stern not too long ago. He even said, you know what, I gave that a bad review initially, and then he says, I watch it all the time now. I know a lot of people hated the direction, they hated the origin, whatever. I can make plenty of arguments that kind of back up a lot of those origin elements. And I love that movie. I really do. I really do.
I enjoyed that movie up until the end when he fought the Absorbing Man, and then it was just crap. But, everything up to that ending was good.
Right. But how many other movies? I mean, you can say that about so many superhero movies. So many people hate Superman 1 because he turns the earth, and there's like...
Yeah, that's why I hate it.
Well, but again, you can always...
I want you to have your fantasies.
Right. See, I take that as, why can't that just be the way he sees...
flying back through time.
Flying, right, and that's how he's, I mean, that's how I kind of see it. Whether it was, in the script it probably says he turns the earth back, but whatever. So those are my honorable mentions.
I want to throw one more honorable mention out, because I forgot about it until now, is Darkman. Because you got Sam Raimi doing Spider-Man, but his first superhero movie was Darkman, and
that's really good.
And that's a great movie too. I don't know about 2, 3, and 4,
they
and
weren't
7.
too bad. I've watched them, but
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's everywhere.
Yeah,
that man's everywhere. You want?
Who was the actor? It was Frances McDormand, right? Or the girlfriend? Or
oh, in Darkman.
In Darkman, yeah.
God, I can't remember. I saw it so long ago.
What's she doing in here? Cool. So thanks, Los Comic Geekos. We can't wait to hear what your next question is for us.
That'll be fun. Hey, I remember I told the story where I met the guy whose uncle was a famous 60s underground comic artist.
Related.
His name was Gilbert Shelton. So he wrote like American Freak or something, that guy with the beard or whatever? That's Gilbert Shelton. And I met his nephew, and Gilbert Shelton currently lives in Paris and is very good friends with R. Crumb, and the circle goes on and on.
Awesome.
But apparently he still sells lots of comics.
I'll have to do some research on that.
Yeah, I looked him up online because the name didn't sound familiar, but as soon as I saw the comics that he did, that American Freak guy with the beard and crazy, and I was like, oh, well, I've seen that picture all over the place. That guy, tons of comics or whatever. So now we know. So look him up and read him. I met his nephew. Interesting.
6 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. That means I'm only 4 degrees from R. Crumb. How cool is that? All right, Peter, get ready.
I want to leave the room.
All right, Peter.
Here we go.
For our 25th episode, I have 2 DC questions and 1 Marvel question.
Stump the Rios.
Stump the Rios. Question number 1. Which issue of Watchmen features the Fallout Shelter sign on the cover?
Wow. I'm going to say number 3.
That's correct.
Yay!
All right.
That was a 1 in 12 shot there.
That's right. Question number 2. And this one's a doozy.
Uh-oh.
Name the preacher trades in order.
Whoa.
Can you do it?
How many are there? Just so
There are 9.
There are 9. Okay, it's going to Texas.
Gone to Texas.
Gone to Texas.
That's correct.
Until the end of the world.
That's correct. Those were the easy ones.
Yeah, those are the easy ones. I could go backwards probably too.
Well,
okay, wait, okay. So we got 1 and 2, right?
Right.
Okay, 1, 2, and you said there's 9.
There are 9.
Okay, the last one is Alamo.
That's correct.
Okay, 1, 2, 9, Alamo. The one before Alamo is All Hell's a Comin'.
That's correct.
Okay, number 4 is Ancient History.
That's correct.
Number 5 is Proud Americans. Wait. No, that's not my answer. It's Dixie Fried.
Dixie Fried is number 5.
Number 6 is Proud Americans. Is War in the Sun.
Right.
Number 7 is Proud Americans.
No.
No, wait. Number 3 is Proud Americans. No.
Yeah, number 3. Number 3 is Proud Americans. And number 7 is Salvation.
Oh, wait, I would have gotten that. Isn't Proud Americans, isn't that the one that has issue 50 in now? Is that already up there? I thought that was.
No.
No? Yeah, but that sounds about right. I got close.
That was very close. That was very good.
It was all out
So
of
we'll give you partial credit
all right, we'll
for
give
that
it
one.
0.5.
I like that you went backwards.
It's just because I need the last 2 so I know which ones they are.
And number 3, the Marvel question. Whose brain was the Visions modeled after?
That would be Wonder Man, Simon Williams.
That's correct.
Damn,
very
so
good.
close
That's
to 3.
2.5 out of 3. That's your best showing for a while.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what do we have next on our agenda?
I got something I want to throw out there, just some websites that I've kind of seen in the last couple days. Especially for those of you who aren't familiar with like a certain company. I saw these 2 and I thought they're perfect for that kind of thing. www.dcuguide.com has tons of who's entries, indexes on titles and comics and runs. It has a history section where it's broken down chronologically from the creation of the universe until the end. Lots of pictures. There's a message board, a very active message board on it. They're always looking for submissions. So if you want to know everything about the DC Universe, go there. If you want to know everything about the Marvel Universe, we have www.marv, I'll spell it out, marvunapp.com. It stands for Marvel Universe Appendix, so it's marvunapp.com. Same thing. Entries about, all kinds of Marvel Universe characters, worlds, villains, weapons, things like that, and there's plenty of links on those. The last website I want to give a shout out to, which Kevin actually just sent it out today or the other day, www.whatsyoursuperpower.com. All one word. Whatsyoursuperpower.com. Basically, you just answer some questions. And this is very similar to a lot of things on the internet. You answer some questions, and they just, at the end of it, they tally it up, and they tell you what you are. Oddly enough, I was nothing.
You are not a superhero.
Yeah, it said you're nothing. I'm like, great. I guess that puts me in the Batman, Nightwing category.
Rick Jones.
Yeah.
I got the flight.
I'm Flight 2. Kevin was Super Strength.
What
I haven't got a chance to do it yet. I just saw it. You guys put it up today.
Right.
I think yours was Babe Magnet. Was
yeah,
your superpower.
yeah, that's real to life.
What I want to know is, one of the questions is, what animal would you most consider yourself, and they give you a choice, and the other one, okay, so I put shark.
Llama.
The other one was, if you saw somebody being crushed by a car, what would you do? And they had all these choices. And I put, tried to help. If there were other people around, I tried to lift the car. And there was another question, have you ever dreamed about flying? And I put yes. And how does all that get me? Nothing. I was like, what the heck? So, but I'm nothing. So try it out. Check it out. We'll post it either on the blog or the forum.
It's in conjunction with the Fantastic Four movie, right?
Yes, because there's this neat, it has the Human Torch flying around, creating the Four symbol.
Logo, right.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's www.whatsyoursuperpower.com.
All right. Well, we have, we have had so much discussion already, and the show is already long. I don't even know. I lost track of time, but who cares? It's a 25th show. We're going.
We're going to be here forever.
So we have the main topic of discussion that we wanted to have is, what are our top 5 most influential people in the comic industry since its inception? They could be creators, they could be editors, it doesn't matter. Whoever had anything to do with comics